Welcome to a correspondence view of the current situation during the Battle of Daniels Crossing, a 172nd American Civil War war game being fought in honor of my good friend John Daniels. And here we are halfway through the game. And if anyone's been following my blog, they may realize that I've been tinkering with the rules as I go along, as I try and come to a final decision on what I want my American Civil War battles to feel like and how I want them to play out, both as a game and as a historical game. Leaning more towards the game, but not too much so. Being an old school type, I prefer players, being generals, to make most of their mistakes themselves, and the combat dice and a few other things to even things out when they did make the right choices and they don't work anyway. And all the rest is smoke and mirrors. So here we are looking at the battlefield overall from a wider view, and I still don't have a proper camera set up because the camera I bought to go with my Chromebook can't physically attach to it. So that's for the future. So here we'll zoom in a little bit. Obviously on the right, the guys in gray and butternut are my Confederates. And across the road here, we find the boys in blue on the other side. Now these are a mix of figures, mostly Airfix, some of which I painted somewhere in the early 1980s. Some were painted by people unknown that have been passed down to me through friends from another friend, all from the Halifax area. Others of them are more recent donations from other people. Some are more recent ones I painted myself, such as sets of the new hat figures. And there are probably 6 different manufacturers of figures mixed in together on a table, which is a nice thing about the scale, is they tend to be close enough that you can all use. So here's the situation. For anyone who's not been following it on the Battle Game of the Month blog, or Game of the Month blog rather, this is an encounter battle which I made up as I started laying out the terrain, and then it sort of came together with a storyline in my head. The Confederates have sent an advance party over and seized the crossing during the night. And we see the bridge over here, and I'm forgetting to move my camera around. Oh! And here we have reinforcements crossing the bridge. This is the tail of the Confederate Army, and it's taking them hours for the whole bunch to get over there because a few traffic jams and a few failed activation rolls. The Union Army appeared early on from the far side of the table on these 2 roads that exit, and so had an initial superiority of numbers. Now for the rebels, what they really want to do is break out of here and seize a road exit going off the Union side of the table so they can push inland when the next corps gets here. And the Yankees preferably want to drive the Revs back across the river so they can either blow up the bridge or use it themselves for a counterattack. And if we end up with the 2 armies faced off with the Confederates in a bridgehead but hemmed in, we'll call it a draw. And we're about halfway through the day. There was initially a cavalry clash with not a great deal of results on either side. But the Union infantry was fast enough to come up that they drove the Confederate cavalry back. And the first attack from the Union was on the right-hand side with the old 1st Division, which are the ones I painted back in the 1980s. And they have managed to smash the Confederate brigade that was laid out to stop them. While the 2nd Brigade of that division has managed to drive the rebels back, to everyone's surprise, from that stone wall. That's what the dice are for. And now the 2nd Division is on the field, and they're deploying to attack forward to try and take the crossroads and drive the rebels off the far hill. But the last Confederate Division has finally arrived and is starting to deploy, so I think there's going to be a fair amount of fighting before sunset. And we'll just see what happens. And if you have a look at the blog, we will eventually get to a conclusion on this, after which I'll talk about the rules, because after a great deal of thinking and writing and trying, they're starting to come together the way they were in my head. Absolutely nothing new about these. These are bits from old things that I've been doing for decades now, but just trying to find the right mix of different things. So, that's it. Stay tuned for more.